Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into some really fascinating sources about a company that's definitely been capturing a lot of attention in 2025. That's D-Wave Quantum, ticker QBTS. If you've been keeping an eye on things, you'll know their stock has, well, surged nearly 90% this year. It's sitting around $16.68 right now. So our mission here really is to pull out the most important bits from the materials you've shared with us, everything from recent performance, financial health, expert predictions, technical signals, even the online chatter. We want to give you a shortcut to being, well, genuinely well-informed about D-Wave without getting bogged down in all the details.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is how these different sources kind of paint a picture from multiple angles, right?
Yeah.
You get the financials, the technicals, the broader market feeling, and their core tech, quantum annealing. It's pretty unique, designed for these super complex optimization problems. You can sort of think of it like trying to find the absolute lowest valley in a huge hilly landscape. That's basically what it does for really complex computational tasks like, I don't know, route planning or even designing new materials. Let's unpack it.
Okay, so that sets the stage for D-Wave's unique spot in quantum. But to really get why they've shot up like this, we need to look at the numbers. And their Q1 2025 results seem like the place to start. That seems to be where the story really kicks off. What jumped out at you financially? Revenue, profit?
Well, the financials are pretty striking. Yeah, D-Wave's revenue, it just exploded to $15 million in Q1. That's a massive 500% increase compared to last year. But maybe even more critical is they actually hit profitability, reported an operating profit of $13.9 million. Moving from loss to profit like that, that's a huge milestone, especially, in a field like quantum computing.
Right. And on top of that turnaround, they also secured, what was it, an extra $400 million through something called an ATM method, bringing their total cash now to over $550 million. So my first thought, is that like a sign of real strength, or are they scrambling? What's the story there?
That's a really good question to dig into. So the ATM method at the market offering, it's actually a pretty flexible way for companies to raise cash. They issue new shares, but directly into the market at current prices, kind of as they need the funds. So this big injection plus hitting profitability, that's a major signal. It gives them real momentum for operating their current Advantage 2 system, which is already out there commercially. And critically, it fuels the development of the next-gen Advantage 3 system. That one's slated for 2028, I think.
Okay.
So it's not really a scramble. It feels more like strategic fortification. Gives them a clear runway. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so beyond the numbers, the sources also talk a lot about partnerships. They're teaming up with, well, quite diverse groups like Stark in the Middle East, Yonsei University in Korea, and Karasoft for distribution in the U.S. public sector. Seems like they're really spreading out across regions and industries.
Yeah, and these partnerships are really key. They show that the technology has real-world applications, right? And it shows their potential to actually expand their market reach. It's not just about the cool tech in a lab. It's about, practical integration and validation out there. It signals growing confidence in quantum annealing actually working.
It definitely looks impressive seeing that growth. But, often with these early stage tech companies, there's a bit of a lag, isn't there, between announcing a partnership and seeing it actually contribute to revenue. Do the sources give any clues on the timeline? When might these deals actually start hitting the top line? Or is it more about just getting a foothold for now?
That's a fair point. And no, the materials don't really give specific timing for revenue from these partnerships. I think it's safer to see these collaborations as more important for validating the tech and securing market position in the medium to long term. Less about immediate cash bumps, more like, laying the foundation stones for future growth, proving it works in the real world before the big money flows.
Okay, so we've got solid fundamentals, expanding reach. But how's the market actually taking all this? Because the sources seem to show this interesting split between what analysts are predicting and what the sort of technical charts might be suggesting about the stock itself. On one side, you have analysts like Cantor Fitzgerald putting average targets between, $15 and $20?
Yeah, that range.
And some sources even mention a short-term target near $19.07, like an 18% upside, and maybe even a swing target of $24, driven by Advantage 2 and the partnerships that clearly see more room to run.
Definitely an optimistic view from the analysts, yeah.
But then the technical analysis in the sources warns the stock's current rhythm might be in a weakening or adjustment phase. So, why the difference? If the fundamentals look good, why worry about these short-term market waves? Isn't that just noise?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It really highlights how different people look at the market. Technical analysis, it often reflects more the short-term psychology, supply and demand, which can definitely diverge from the long-term picture. The sources mention things like trap resolution. That's a technical pattern you sometimes see after a sharp fall and quick rebound. It can suggest maybe a short-term buying chance, especially around that $15.40 mark mentioned. And then there's Elliott wave theory, this idea that markets move in these kind of predictable wave patterns. From that view, after a strong run-up like D-Waves had, the third wave, you might expect a shorter-term pullback, a fourth wave correction, before maybe heading higher again. So yeah, long-term fundamentals and analysts look positive. But these technical signals, they're suggesting we could see some short-term bumps, maybe profit-taking. It's like a roller coaster, right? Even a great one has dips. So these signals are a bit of a caution flag, and how you read them really depends on your time frame and how much risk you're comfortable with. It's not just noise, it's the market processing everything.
Okay. And this kind of complex picture, this tension, seems reflected in the online community buzz too, right? The sources say there's been a big jump in mentions on places like the quantum computing subreddit, Twitter, StockTwits.
Yeah, quite significant increases.
Reddit mentions up 28%. Keywords like advantage 2, scaling, public sector. Twitter up 54%, with sentiment mostly positive, 62% positive, only 18% negative. And StockTwits saw a 19% increase in mentions, heavily bullish at 74%.
Right.
But we're seeing positive keywords like breakthrough, expansion, partnership, but also worries about losses, dilution, competition. So what does that mixed bag really tell us?
Exactly. That mix isn't just noise either. I think it's actually a sign the conversation is getting maybe a bit more mature, more nuanced.
Yeah.
It shows that, yes, there's real excitement about the growth and the partnerships, but the market is also actively thinking about the real challenges. Things like, well, maybe quantum adoption takes longer than hoped. Or what if there's a broader economic slowdown that hits demand for these expensive cutting-edge tools?
Right. That makes sense.
It's kind of like scrolling through comments on a big tech announcement, Get the super fans, the skeptics, everyone reacting. But one positive signal in there. The short interest ratio is pretty low, below 3%. That suggests there isn't widespread extreme pessimism betting against the stock, which is, a good sign. So ultimately for you listening, evaluating D-Wave means balancing those bright growth prospects against these short-term technical cautions and the bigger market risks. Upcoming things like their Q2 earnings, probably early August, and just seeing how these partnerships progress, those will be really key things to watch.
Okay, so after diving deep into all these D-Wave sources, let's recap the key takeaways for you. We've confirmed those impressive Q1 results, the big capital raise giving them runway, high hopes for the Advantage systems, those expanding global partnerships, and definitely a surge in online buzz.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've highlighted, you really need to consider those more cautious technical signals, potential short-term dips, and the broader risks too, like how fast will this tech really be adopted? And what about the economy? And maybe something to leave you to think about. If we focus on Advantage 2 being commercialized now and these partnerships growing, maybe the real measure of D-Wave's value isn't just the financials of the stock chart. What's really compelling maybe is thinking about how effectively their quantum annealing technology actually solves real-world problems for these partners. So the question is, whether it's drug development or financial modeling, logistics, which specific, tangible, real-world problem do you think we'll see the first really significant, meaningful breakthrough from D-Wave's tech, beyond just a lab demo?
Exactly. Watching for those actual impacts, seeing which real-world problems get solved first. That feels like the most exciting way to truly grasp the company's long-term path and really its place in shaping what comes next in computing.
D-Wave Quantum, QBTS.NYS Price Outlook. Hello, this is TopTrader JinLog. In this video, after a talk show-style discussion, we present the RHYTHMIX Ver 17.1 Rhythm Analysis Report for D-Wave Quantum. You can find the full written report on my blog. Be sure to subscribe so you can catch real-time index flows at key rhythm points during my live posts and streams. Summary: D-Wave Quantum, QBTS.NYS has risen approximately 90% year-to-date, demonstrating strong positive momentum. The current share price is around $16.68. In Q1 2025, revenue reached $15 million, up 500% YoY, and operating income turned positive at $13.9 million. The company completed a $400 million ATM equity raise on July 1st, bringing total available cash to over $550 million. Analyst price targets range from an average of $15.14 to as high as $20, driven by Advantage 2 commercialization and expanding global partnerships. We recommend focusing on entry zones at 15.4 short-term, 15.7 swing, and 9.87 mid-term, aligned with rhythm and flow shifts. 5. Investment opinion short-term target, $19.70 right pointing arrow, approximately 18% upside from current levels. Swing target, $24 right pointing arrow, testing next resistance zone. Midterm target, not specified, to be reassessed after upcoming earnings and macro developments. Chart explanation. The chart for D-Wave Quantum, QBTS.NYS, shows highlighted circles at zones where short-term trend convergence meets an uptrend breakout. Entry probabilities and potential returns tend to be higher near swing and midterm bands. Always verify trend and wave progression on each chart before executing. 7. Rhythm analysis, currently in a weakening adjustment phase, expansion flow, as Bollinger Bands widen. Watch for oversold conditions and confirm a band center mean reversion attempt alongside RSI and MACD signals before committing. Financial overview. Q1 2025 revenue, $15 million, YoY plus 500%. Q1 2025 operating income, $13.9 million, turned positive cash position. Raised $400 million via ATM on July 1st. Total cash greater than $550 million. EPS consensus, minus 6 cents for Q2 2025, indicating narrowing losses. Next earnings, scheduled between August 6 to 11, 2025. 9. News, risks, events, Stack partnership, accelerates quantum application adoption in Middle East. Yonsei University Alliance. Joint research and commercialization efforts in South Korea. Karasoft distribution. Expanded U.S. public sector procurement channel. Advantage 3 roadmap. Targeting 2028 launch for next-gen system. Risks, potential delays in enterprise adoption and global economic slowdown. Strategy scenarios. Short-term buy entry zone, approximately 15.4 conditions. Trap resolved at 3/3 plus rhythm flow reversal plus impact of ATM raise swing buy entry zone, approximately 15.7 conditions. Trap is greater than or equal to 2/3 plus rhythm flow reversal plus high volatility environment confirmation. Midterm buy entry zone, approximately 9.87 conditions. Trap is greater than or equal to 2/3 plus rhythm flow reversal plus consideration of longer-term macro context. 11. Elliott wave analysis. Short-term wave 3. Entered expansion in wave 3 after trap resolution swing wave 4. Expecting corrective wave 4 near swing resistance. Midterm wave 1. Observing initial wave 1 formation on longer time frame. Community flow. Reddit r quantum computing. Mentions plus 28% mom 4600 right pointing arrow 5900. Top keywords. Advantage 2. Scaling. Public sector Twitter. Hashtag D-Wave Quantum tweets 1200 right pointing arrow 1850. Plus 54% sentiment. 62% positive. 18% negative. 20% neutral. Stocktwits mentions 3200 right pointing arrow 3800. Plus 19% bullish bet 74%. Bearish 26%. Sentiment indicators. Top positive keywords. Breakthrough. Expansion. Partnership. Top negative keywords. Losses. Dilution. Competition. Highlight any influencer with is greater than or equal to 5 mentions in this section. Outlook and risk summary. Institutional buying remains strong while short interest sits below 3%. Key risks include delayed enterprise uptake and a possible macroeconomic slowdown. Close monitoring of earnings results and partnership progress is essential. 14. Deep Dive Report. An upcoming deep dive will quantitatively detail institutional orders, AI adoption metrics, e.g., stack deployments, and further analysis of Von Tobel's increased holdings to inform advanced entry-exit guidance. 15. Brand disclaimer. This report is based on the VPAR rhythm analysis methodology, combining chart rhythm flows with order flow patterns to propose optimal trading points. All investment decisions are your responsibility.